So we're out here for Truth and Reconciliation Day. There's going to be a little intro by Chief Michelle Glasgow and some kind of speech from MP Kody Blois. I don't know why they invited RCMP with guns and tasers here, but they're here too, so whatever, it all is what it is.
Seen you guys yesterday. Good to see you. You guys' smiles are the best. That's what makes me smile. Thank you, Will Allen. All right, we're going to get started. So yeah, if there's any more survivors out there, if you wish to come on up, our first four rows here are designated for you. It's out of respect. Today, it's a beautiful day. Thank you, Creator, for bringing us together and giving us this great day. It's a day of remembrance. It's a day of honoring. It's a day of resilience. That's what it is. And there's so much. A lot of people are going to be sharing a lot of stories here today. We have a few speakers, and as well, we're going to be starting off. We're going to start off with the Mi'kmaq honor song, and then after the honor song, our elder, Mary Lou Bernard, she's going to be saying the opening prayer. Following the opening prayer is our host drum for the day, O.G. Styles from Swaganagity and parts all over. They're going to be singing a song for our dancers. We have our dancers here from Swaganagity, and they're going to be doing a song, or a dance and a song, to remember the residential school survivors, to remember their children, to remember those children who didn't get a chance to make it home from the residential school. And then after that song, then we're going to be having Chief Michelle Glasgow. She's going to be saying some remarks. Following Michelle is going to be Mr. Tim Bernard from our neighboring community. He's going to be sharing some words. And then following Tim is going to be Mr. Kody Blois, our local MP. And he's going to be sharing some words.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I want to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional district of Swaganagity, one of the 7 districts of Mi'kmaq, and the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Our rich history is embedded in the land. It has our stories for generations. This one here, what's that one? Stories of strength, pain, survival, resilience, and hope. Today, we stand near the site of the former Swaganagity Residential School. This location is steeped in sorrow and holds memories that no person should ever have to bear. This place is not just a site of history, it's a site of truth. For 37 years, Mi'kmaq and other Indigenous children were forced to attend this institution, the only one in the Maritimes. On this National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, we remember the children who were taken. We honor the survivors who came home, many carrying scars we cannot see. We grieve for those who did not make it back to their families. This day is more than just a day of reflection. It's a shared responsibility. The impact of these institutions is not only our truth to bear, it's Canada's truth to face. True reconciliation can truly begin when the truth is fully seen, fully heard, and fully acknowledged. To the survivors among us, your bravery shines through. We hear your voices, and we see your strength, and we witness your resilience. You are not alone. Today, your truth is being spoken into every corner of this country. To our youth, you are the reason we continue to fight for justice and healing. You are the promise of a brighter future. You are the generation who will carry our language, our stories, and our culture forward, not in shame, but in pride. To those standing with us, thank you for showing up. Your presence matters. May your presence lead to action, and your listening lead to learning. Learning that will guide us to meaningful change. Wear your orange shirts and consider the steps that you will take after today. Reconciliation lives in your choices, your conversations, and your commitments. Today is a difficult day, but it also is a day of healing. We gather in ceremony, in memory, and in unity. Every prayer we offer, every drum we raise, and every story we tell, these are acts of resistance, and they are also acts of love. I want to end this with this. Our people are still here. Despite everything, we are still here. And we are raising truth in our hearts and holding each other's hands tightly. We move forward together, not forgetting, but remembering and rebuilding and knowing that we are resilient. Flavia.
Thank you, Chief Michelle. Thank you for those kind words. Up next is we have my friend, longtime friend and knowledge sharer, borderline elder, Tim Bernard. He's so humble. He won't accept it. That's how humble he is. You know, he won't. He said no. But Mr. Tim Bernard, thank you, Alalan.
Alalan Brian, Walexiklu. Good morning. Name Dalhousie Tim Bernard, Wakeovik Kit. I just want to begin by acknowledging our Elders Advisory Council who guide our Mi'kmaq Bird Cultural Center project, and I've been working with them for the past 20 years, and we're getting oh so close to opening the doors of Mi'kmaq Bird. And this past year has been very difficult for them, for our team at Mi'kmaq Bird. We've lost survivors, elders, Judy Bernard Julian, Elder Becky a month later, Elder Agnes Potter, and recently Elder Kenny Prosper. We think of them often, and of all the elders who have gone on to join our ancestors. They continue to inspire us. I want to welcome many of our survivors who have joined us at our gathering we held for them at our second Healing and Resilience gathering that we hosted in Churro. The gathering honored survivors and gave us a chance to provide an update on our commemoration project. The direction of this work came directly from you, the survivors. In 2018, through engagement sessions led by Doreen Bernard, Galalio Doreen, and Sheila Tremblay Firo, two members that were on my team, that they guided those engagement sessions. Survivors told us clearly that what they needed was more gatherings. They wanted that former school site that would have been behind me recognized as a National Historic Site in Canada. And most importantly, they wanted commemoration to celebrate them as survivors and their families' descendants. So in 2021, we held our first gathering. That year marked the first year of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. We had the opportunity to acknowledge the former school site as a National Historic Site in Canada. So that was one thing that the survivors wanted to see happen, and we made that happen. That gathering also laid the foundation for our partners, the studio of Ursula Johnson and her team of art witnesses. From this collaboration came the creative design brief that guided the commemoration. Shortly after, we established the Survivors Advisory Circle. Their guidance has been invaluable. With the studio, we held some more engagement sessions in 2023. We shared the creative design brief coming out of the gatherings. All during COVID, it was a difficult time for all, but we managed to pull through, and we continued to seek the guidance and the direction of our survivors. From these conversations, especially in 2021, it became clear we must remember and honor Nora Bernard. For decades, she was a tireless advocate. She led one of the largest class action suits in Canadian history. More than 30 years ago, I believe it was in 1995 that they put that forward. So, we owe lots to Nora. And we're humbled to honor her through the creation of the Commemoration Park, which will be a sanctuary for the heart, mind, spirit. As I mentioned, the Survivors Advisory Circle. This project is shaped by not only Mi'kmaq voices, but Willistic voices. It is led by survivors, guided by elders. Last night, we honored the Survivors Advisory Circle, representatives from across Mi'kmaq and Willistic territory. We gifted them with an eagle feather for their hard work that they've helped us to do. I want to acknowledge elders and knowledge carriers, Vaughn Nicholas. Vaughn, thank you. Roseanne Martin. Walalio, Roseanne, Walalia. Margaret LeBeau. Margaret, thank you. Walali. Mary Hatfield. Margaret Peltier. Unfortunately, Margaret had to go to a family emergency. She wasn't able to make it. We also had an opportunity to acknowledge the late Shirley Morris from Sebago. Her sister was there to take that eagle feather on behalf of her family, so thank you, Deborah. Also had the opportunity to acknowledge, as I mentioned her earlier, Doreen Bernard. She's helped to lead this pathway. Doreen, and we had a representative from our descendants. He's not here today, but Michael Lardin is leading another session in southwest Nova Scotia today, but just wanted to acknowledge him. And also we acknowledge the work of Ursula Johnson, and we gifted her with a needle plate. So Ursula, if you're out there somewhere, through this process, we were able to form a partnership with Chief Michelle and the Sebago Council. I just want to thank you for your support for the IRS Commemoration Project and for donating the land and home for the new park. So you'll see construction happening close to the 102 highway, so that will be where the park will be built. My father, John, thank you. My father, John, and my uncle Roddy attended the Shubenacadie Residential School behind me, 1944 to 1946. Sad part of it, and the Indian agent convinced my grandmother that it would be a great idea if she could send her children to the Indian college. They'll get a great education, she was led to believe. 1943, they made an application, they were denied. 1944, they get a letter back saying her children will be accepted. But the reason she wanted to, there was no school in the community they lived in Mulligawage, in Cape Breton. And so they came on that train, and they got off, and they came to the school for 2 years. They were able to get out, and I've been able not really to trace their stories through their stories, because my dad had passed 1994, and it was by 1999 that had realized the journey that he had been on, and the pain and suffering coming from his time here at the Shubenacadie in the residential school. My uncle was still alive. I had a conversation with him, and he wasn't up for sharing. He said, but he told me, Bliss, so when our survivors tell you their stories, you believe them, because not good things happened here at that school. When I look in the archival record, I see he was sent to the sanatorium in Edmonton. He had TB. He didn't come here with TB. Okay? I see his record. He comes in as a 13-year-old. The doctor gave him full marks, great health overall. He was a growing young man. And from there, my grandmother came and took them both out of the Shibby School in 1946. Last night, I sat with one of our advisory members. She was deeply moved to see that gatherings like today are being led by descendants. I saw that relief in her face, heard that gratitude in her voice. After decades of carrying this burden, there was now a groundswell of support and love. And I really appreciated those comments as we sat and we reflected on the last 2 days. So we're honored to, definitely honor Nora Bernard. And, this park is dedicated in her memory. Thank you. We are very close to completion. In the next 2 months, we hope to have a dedication ceremony. We polled the survivors last night, and they said the sooner the better. So we're working as hard as we can to get through to November, and we will plan that event, and it'll be a public event to be hosted at the new site. This work has been shaped by the guidance of the Advisory Council, as I mentioned, and our partners at the studio of Ursula Johnson. There are many to thank for walking with us on this journey. Walalio, Walolan. Thank you.
All right. MP Kody Blois.
Good morning, Deloise and Kody Blois. I'm working to try to learn some Mi'kmaq language myself, so thank you to Ann on that. I want to start by saying thank you to Chief and Council for the opportunity to be here and to be able to provide remarks as the Member of Parliament for Kings Hands. And I want to start with a few thank yous. First of all, to our survivors, thank you for your resilience. Every time I come to these events, I draw inspiration from the conversations that I have with you about the difficult time that you went through here at the Shubenacadie Indian Residential School. All these people here, and this may be one of the largest events I've seen in the years since we've started this tradition. This may be one of the largest crowds. We're all here for you. We're here to make sure that what you went through is not forgotten, that the impact of the residential school is known throughout this country. And as Chief Glasgow talked about, it's where do we go from here? We can't undo the harm that was done, but we can talk about how we make it better moving forward. So first of all, I want to say thank you, and maybe a round of applause to our survivors and those who are our elders in our community. I do want to say thank you as well to the organizers who bring this all together. These things don't just happen. It takes volunteers, it takes people to step up and to bring us all together. So to the volunteers, thank you. To our, maybe a big round of applause as well. To our dancers, to our drummers, our singers, that was an absolutely beautiful and powerful moment before we started our ceremony here today to recognize our survivors. And I want to share a little bit of my story, and Chief Glasgow, I think, rightfully highlighted we shouldn't have to relearn our language. And I couldn't help but think as I was sitting there, and I've learned a lot, and I want to talk about that, and I will talk about kind of my own story, my understanding of this place. But you think about all the harms that happened at the Indian residential schools, physical, sexual abuse, obviously the taking of children from their families, whether by tricks or by force. It's the language It's the language and the impact of trying to quell the culture of our Indigenous communities, our Mi'kmaq communities in this case here in Nova Scotia, because that is beautiful. The culture, every time I go, whether to a Maui Omi, whether I come to an event like this, the regalia, the history, the language, it is beautiful. And before my thank you, Mary Lou, thank you for that opening prayer. Beautiful in the Mi'kmaq language. I think amongst all the harm that happened, the impact on culture and language is the biggest. And that's the stuff that we have to make sure that together, collectively, obviously with the leadership of our Indigenous communities, but all of us, we have to continue to fight for language and for culture and to celebrate that pride in Indigenous resiliency. So I want to share just a little bit about my story, because I know we have a lot of people here from across the Maritimes, and I want to recognize Sibeganae Council. I know we have municipal councils here, provincial MLAs, my colleague Braden Clark, who sits in Parliament. We're here, but ultimately there's people from all across the Maritimes. I grew up and I still live 10 minutes down the road in Lance. And I've called East Hants home my entire life. And I share this story because I would travel up and down this road with my parents as I went and played ball on that ball field a few golf shots away right over there. And my parents at a young age would tell me, when we would drive by, they would say, well, that's the former residential school. And that's all that was really said. And I don't blame my parents, perhaps some level of ignorance, because a lot of people in our community right here in East Hants, whether by naivety or by neglect, didn't really know what happened here. And my parents, of course, I knew this was the Shubenacadie residential school site, but I didn't know what happened. We didn't really learn about this in school, and I think we've made strides as a society that now generations of young students coming through Hants East Rural High at least have a deeper appreciation of the community and the history and the legacy in a negative sense that happened right in their backyard. We're making strides. We're making sure that this is not forgotten. We're making sure that this is understood across our communities. But for me, one thing I will never forget, I can't quite remember the year, I think it might have been 2022, 2021, when some of the work was being done up on the former school site. I was with Roger Lewis, and many of you will know Roger. He's a Mi'kmaq historian, and he's a stand-up guy. Roger was a survivor of the Indian residential school. He was there at a young age, in the 60s, towards the end of its closure. But Roger was standing there, and he described to me, he said, here's where the school was. And of course, there's pictures so you can imagine what it would have looked like. And he said, the girls were put on this side, the boys on this side. He described that he was given a number to associate his time and his place in that school. He talked about the fact that on weekends, as children, it was not about going out and playing and socializing. It was about picking rocks in the back of that field. He talked about how language, going back to language, culture, were not permitted. Not ability to speak your mother tongue. Not an ability to have those traditions and celebrations that would have been so crucial at a time. And of course, being removed from friends, family, parents at that crucial age. And I say that just to simply highlight that for those of us who are not from an Indigenous community today, if you have the opportunity and you have someone who went to the school who's able to share, and I know these memories are tough and maybe not everyone's in a position to share their time here, but listen to their story, because it becomes a lot more real when you talk to someone who was actually at this school, who was impacted as a result of being at this school, than reading about it in a textbook or hearing it from anyone else. You need to hear it from the people who lived it, because it is real and it matters. Last thing I want to say is about where we're going. Brian talked about this, about that we see the dancers, we see the prayer dancers, the jingle dancers who are out at the regalia, that this is being celebrated. Because it is easy to forget that I shouldn't say it's easy to forget, for some of us who are not close to this, it is easy to forget that the last residential school was not closed until the 1990s in this country. This is not 100 years ago. This is a mere 30 years ago. And the work that has happened has brought us to this day. We need to keep moving forward on reconciliation. I concur wholeheartedly with the Chief about the work that has to happen across different levels of government in partnership with Indigenous leadership in this country. Because there are forces that would suggest and try to underplay what has happened in this country. We cannot let that happen. We need to move forward. When I think about the future of this beautiful country, and this is a point where we talk about emotion, because today is a sad day, but it's also a proud day. And that's what Brian talked about, these different emotions. When we think about Canada, we have so much to be proud of that we should celebrate. The role of the Indian residential school is not one of those moments we should be proud of. But a mature country understands that, it addresses it, and it moves forward. And I think about where we move forward together as Canada, it is hand in hand with Indigenous communities on economic, on social, environmental issues. That's how we move forward. So thank you so much for the privilege to be here. Thank you for everyone for coming out. And again, to our survivors, your story is not forgotten. Your legacy will live on strongly through all of us. Thank you.
I don't know why RCMP, with their badges and their guns and their tasers, are invited or tolerated down here when RCMP were the instruments that were enforcing the residential school systems and the prying of children from their parents when the parents didn't want them to go. But I don't know. I just had a friend from the communities come down. He told me they're trying to keep people off the river for this day. And as a safety thing, I can kind of understand it. It's a little bit slippery here. Certain spots, the mud is a little sinky, though today I walk this river a lot, and today it's pretty good. It's not very sinky at all today. And it's not too many days where we can walk clear across from one side of the river to the other. But today is one of those days. Anyway, I kind of can get it for safety reasons, but for cultural reasons, I'm not in agreement on that one. I think the river here is here for everybody. And while there's definitely still truth that needs to come to light and be uncovered, and truth is vital. We need to figure it out, whatever that process is, and regardless of how uncomfortable or painful it is. But I don't know that the way the reconciliation process seems to be going now, I have strong concerns about it. But on the other hand, the river is here for everybody. And I'm not breaking any laws by getting my feet wet, having a walk, even taking a swim in the river if I feel like it. I've got some feelings. Everybody has feelings down here today. Today isn't about my feelings, my YouTube channel, or Rumble, or wherever I've started uploading, and this might end up. Those are mine, and those are about my feelings, but today isn't. Today is not. But still, truth is vital. There's still truth that needs to be uncovered and sifted through, and we need to work on getting to the bottom of all the things in our past that have been covered up. But I don't think there can be real reconciliation without mutual respect. There can be disagreements, or disagreements are inevitable. Ah, there's a little cat over there on the bank. But yeah, if we can't learn how to coexist and tolerate each other and our disagreements, I don't see reconciliation happening soon. I see more conflict and violence, and that's not what I want. So, today I'm worried. I don't want to be worried. I want to not be worried. And hopefully I can figure out how. I'm usually the optimist, but today is different. I don't know why. I'm struggling with putting my feelings into words right now. I'm impatient. Not usually, but I'm feeling impatient today. I don't know. Anyway, it's a little cold out here, but it's a pretty nice day. All in all, I hope everybody has a good week. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and thanks for watching.